us. So let's settle in to begin with the breath. So if you'll please take a comfortable seat and check in with your pelvic floor. Let's see, I have a few, I'm having technical issues. Oh, okay. Sorry, Peggy. All right. Feel into your sit bones side to side. And if you feel one sit bone is heavier, or you feel one sit bone is more tucked in, then inner spiral your thighs, taking the inner thigh down and taking a hold of your sit bone and taking it out at a diagonal. This is an interesting practice anyway, to kind of broaden your pelvic floor. And then for a moment, tilt your pelvis forward, pubic bone towards the earth. And then for a moment, roll your pelvis back, tailbone towards the earth. And then bring the bowl of your pelvis upright. And think of that floor of your pelvis as a diamond that you could very gently lift from the center. And let that lift rise all the way up your spine like you're a plant growing towards the sun. And then bring the tongue to the roof of your mouth behind your teeth and roll it across the hard palate at the top of your mouth until you reach the soft palate. And imagine that you could be lifted from the back of the hard palate by a hot air balloon. And let that balloon lift you skyward and your spine lengthen and stretch. And then let's come into awareness of the breath as it is in the body this morning. Noticing where the breath goes without an effort to change it. This may be one of the most challenging parts of the practice, to just observe like a curious child without critique, without trying to fix. And perhaps we can think about our mornings or our night's sleep and what impact that has on the pattern of our breath right now. And then let's slowly invite the breath to deepen down towards the pelvic floor. And imagine it filling the pelvis up to the rim of the pelvis. And then let's exhale as if we could exhale the air just from the pelvic bowl. And let's concentrate on just filling the pelvis with breath, like we'd fill a cup with water. And as we breathe into the lining of the pelvis, can we relax the pelvis on the exhales? So that we can fill and broaden and open the pelvis on the inhales. And then imagine this breath can fill farther up to the navel, filling the waistline, the whole circumference of the waistline. And just filling to there. We bring our visualization of the breath low so that we don't overactivate the neck and shoulder and chest accessory muscles. Inviting ourselves to breathe with the diaphragm descending from the lowest ring of ribs on the inhale and mushrooming up under the rib cage gently on the exhale. Now let's inhale up to that lowest ring of ribs, feeling the whole 3 dimensions of the abdominal cavity expand. Can we bring our attention to the low back ribs and the diaphragm descending gently down from the low back ribs? Most of us use just 1/3 of our lung capacity. And these low posterior ribs don't move as much as they could. So let's breathe them open. Can we breathe the ribs open side to side? Feeling for the diaphragm moving. We don't breathe so deep that we strain, but we invite a long, smooth breath. So let's now engage the Ujjayi sound if you haven't already. Inhaling an ah and exhaling a ha through the nostrils. And listening to the ocean waves of our own breath, let's smooth the waves. Let's lengthen. Long, slow, easy breaths. And now let's invite the breath up to the center of the sternum or the heart center, front and back body. And let's expand that heart center three-dimensionally. Filling ourselves from the pelvic floor up to this heart center. As if we were an expanding flask. And then without over grasping, let's invite the inhale up to the tops of the shoulder blades and collarbones. Head resting back. This little horseshoe-shaped floating bone at our neck crease, resting back. Eyes resting back in their sockets. Hot air balloon lifting us skyward. Let's breathe space between the vertebrae. And let's let our gaze turn towards this inner landscape. Here's a poem for you to begin with. It's called Solstice by Tess Taylor. How again today our patron star, whose ancient vista is the long view, turns its wide brightness now and here. Below we loll outdoors, sing and make a fire. We build no henge, but after our swim linger by the pond, dapples flicker, pine trunks by the water. Buzz and hum and wing and song combine, light builds a monument to its passing. Frogs content themselves in bullish chirps, hoop skirt blossoms. Apex, the throaty world sings ripen. Our grove slips past the sun's long kiss. We dress, we head home in other starlight. Our earthly time is sweetening from this. In practice today, let's turn the wide brightness of our consciousness to the now and the here, to this inner landscape of our bodies, listening to the song of our breath. Let's let our bodies ripen in the practice. Can we keep the breath today long and slow like the summer days? Three-dimensional inside of us. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. Namaste. Okay, let's come to standing. And let's begin today in mountain pose. I'll spotlight this video in case that helps any of you. And you can turn it back to gallery view if you choose. Oh, I think Sarah Joy already has that done. Okay. Fluid breath. Stay with the Ujjayi breath. As you feel into the four corners of your feet, let's lift our toes. And feel into the arch from big toe ball mound to inner heel. From pinky toe ball mound to outer heel. And across from big toe ball mound to pinky toe ball mound. These arches like cushions to our feet. Let's release the toes. And let's let the arms come out and inhale as if the palms could gather earth energy. And then turn the palms skyward and gather sky. And exhale, let this breath move like a cleanse through the body. Fluid breath. Can we inhale the ah as we gather earth energy and sky energy, and exhale the slow and lingering ha. And one more time at your own pace. Inhale the ah. And exhale the ha. And then we'll float the arms up and let them rest as if they were resting on water. And then turn the left palm up, thumb out, and the right palm down. So we're externally rotating the left arm, internally rotating the right, and then we'll switch. The head looks out over the lifting palm. Fluid breath, waking up the rotator cuff this morning. Inhaling one direction and exhaling the other. Fluid breath, or if it's more comfortable, inhaling one full cycle, both arms, and then exhaling the next. Staying with that Ujjayi breath and feeling into the sensations of your arm bones and shoulder blades moving. And then let's come back to center and release the arms and roll the shoulders. And then lift the arms skyward. And as you root your feet, can you stretch the whole myofascia of the torso, reaching the arms skyward? Lift the thumb, stretch the back body. Lift the pinky fingers, stretch the front body. Really stretch and breathe deep into the whole circumference of the ribs. And then reach the left arm skyward like you could reach that peach just above you in the tree. And then reach the right arm and stretch from side to side, opening the side bodies. Really inviting the breath to massage the myofascia open. Inhaling the reach and exhaling the release, letting yourself move slow with the breath. And then letting your arms float down to your sides. Letting the hyoid bone and the head rest back. Finding the shoulders gently on your rib cage. How much can you relax into your mountain pose? And fine tune your posture as you shine the light of your awareness inside. Let's step 1 foot forward and let your arms come down like wings of birds, and inhale up to the toe of the front foot as the arms come up. Staying with the breath into the low back ribs, perhaps your foot lifts off. We exhale down and inhale up, moving smooth and gently. Let the breath be long and lingering, and see if you can invite the body to follow the breath through slow, easy summer movements, fluid, lasting. We're practicing strength and balance on the standing right leg, fluid breath and movement and ease in the body. One more, and we'll land the left foot and step the right forward and exhale. And inhale. You can just come to the toe if that makes it easier for you to breathe fluidly. Or you can lift the foot off if you want the challenge of balance. See if your head and hyoid bone can still rest back. Fluid breath and movement. Easy and slow, body following breath. The arms don't have to stretch to the full capacity. They can move easy and slow. One more, inhale and exhale, land. And let's step our feet wide on the mat and turn the left foot out, lifting the right heel, taking it slightly back. Nice heel to heel alignment for most of us. Let's lift into star pose and feel into the pelvic floor again, widening in both directions as you bend into the left knee. And then we'll take the back hand and inhale it forward towards the front and exhale it through the heart center. Inhaling and exhaling. If it's comfortable for you, let your gaze follow the hand around and see if even here you can invite body to follow breath. So move at the breath's slow and lingering pace. Can you feel into the stability of your feet grounding you? The knee lining up over the second metatarsal. Let's pause here with the arms open and bring the right fingertips to the right leg, left hand up and open. Can you breathe space between the vertebrae and not have it be that you have to come into the full back bend, but more that you're waking up and lifting the heart and inviting sky between the vertebrae. Fluid breath. Shoulders releasing away from ears. Can you find ease in this dancing warrior? Ease in welcoming the morning. And then let's inhale back up and reach the left arm forward. Right hand comes to the hip and bring the right forearm to the femur bone, or if you'd like, to a block behind you, lifting the right shoulder onto the back body. Right thumb to the shoulder, stretch from the outer edge of the back foot through the fingertips. Now, can you breathe again, three-dimensionally into the rib cage, inviting the whole rib cage to open, breathing deep down towards the pelvic floor. Can you root from the pelvis through the legs deep into the earth and let the upper body rise and reach towards the sunlight? Fluid breath. And then let's inhale and rise back up, turning the palms skyward. Let's inhale a sun breath, exhaling it through the center channel of the body. Opening the arms, resting them on water. Let's straighten the left leg, turn it in, and turn the right leg out. Lifting the left heel to take it back, resting your arms on water. Let's bend the right knee into your Viratu. And again, bring the back hand forward and exhale it through the heart. Can we stay in awareness of our inner landscape? The legs connecting us to earth, the upper body reaching towards sky. Can the breath move like water? And can our gaze follow the movement? And then let's pause, open, bringing the left hand to the hip, stretching the right side body from hip crease to fingertips before we bring the forearm to the femur bone. And then finding the left shoulder blade on the back body, stretch the shoulder blades away from each other. And then the left thumb reaches long. Can you breathe into the full circumference of the lowest rib ring, inviting the back ribs to open? Can you come back to the smooth Ujjayi breath? Can you fine tune the pose? And then inhale, back up. Straightening the front leg, we turn it in from the femur bone and walk the feet together, inhaling our hands to the heart. Head resting back, eyes resting back. Let's release into mountain pose. And feel the echo of those postures and that breath through the body. And standing feet a little wider, let's inhale, reaching arms skyward again. Take your right wrist in, your left wrist in your right hand and stretch side body long, grounding the four corners of each foot. Can you reach the left arm over the right shoulder and breathe into the whole left side body? Concentrating on opening the ribs, the diaphragm, letting the breaths be long and smooth and lingering. And then let's come back up and take the right wrist in the left hand, stretching from the four corners of each foot. And then really stretching both side bodies. So don't just collapse into the left side body, keep it long. And if you have osteoporosis or penia, we stop before we feel compression, vertebrae to vertebrae. So it doesn't have to be a large side bend. We breathe space between the vertebrae. Those of us who can come farther do, but all of us honor the body. Fluid breath. Can you stretch the myofascia around the rib cage open and lengthen your side bodies to have more space? And then let's inhale and release and roll the shoulders again. Okay, so next I'd like us to step wide, and you can use a chair or you can use a block for Trikonasana. Okay, so we'll step wide and we'll turn again the left foot out, lifting the right heel back, and we'll inhale, open. So my focus in these postures is to keep the energy healthy. So if you come down too far and you're reaching too far and you lose the kind of integrity of the pose, then you also lose the breath. So stay upright, stay focused in on the breath, bringing the hand to the back hip, lengthen forward and come to whatever height is best for you in Trikonasana. So if it's a chair, to find that length of spine, then use the chair. Perhaps you come to your own shin. Perhaps you come to a block or the floor. Feel into your own body. Can you keep the spine long from pelvis through the top of the head? Can you keep the pose spacious? Fluid breath. The goal isn't to get to the floor. The goal is to breathe the body open. Let's inhale into the whole circumference of the lowest ribs, inviting space between the ribs, inviting length into the spine. Fluid breath. Check in that energy runs up the calves, through the knees and down the shins so that you don't hyperextend the knees. Fluid breath. The heart could turn slightly skyward. Arm bones integrated into the pose. Feeling into the body. Let's exhale and root the feet and inhale and rise back up out of the pose. Turning the left leg in and the right leg out. Let's open again. Now first, find that hot air balloon lifting you skyward so you have a long spine. Left hand to the hip. Concentrate on really finding length in the right side body before you come down. to whichever support you're going to use. And then broaden the shoulders away from each other and open the arm. Fluid breath. Can you feel into connecting from pelvis down through the feet, deep into the earth? Can you breathe sky into the upper body? Can you invite space between the ribs, between the vertebrae? Can you settle into the rhythm of the breath? And then on the next exhale, grounding the feet. We'll inhale ourselves lightly back up and turn the right femur bone in and step together and pause in mountain. Without grasping at the breath, can it deepen as we practice? Can it expand our physical form? Okay. I'd like us to come down to the floor for a little core awakening before we come into some standing balance. So you may need a pillow. Let's lay ourselves down, and I'd like you to please have a yoga strap. And lay yourselves down in what I call constructive rest. Shoulders resting back, palms up, sacrum on the floor, feet on the floor, heels aligned with your sit bones. Take a few of those fluid three-dimensional breaths and become aware of the lowest back ribs as a point that can anchor you towards earth. This doesn't mean forcing the rib cage back and flattening the low back. It just means staying aware of this hinge point. And let's exhale. One leg into tabletop, your shin parallel to the floor, your femur bone perpendicular. And then exhale the other leg to join it. Now we're going to keep the knees at a right angle, and we're going to inhale and toe dip, one toe towards the floor without touching, and then exhale it back up, and then inhale the other toes towards the floor and exhale it back up. So you're really just moving from the femur bone, from the hip socket. The knee stays at a right angle. We inhale 1 foot low and exhale it up. Shoulders ground and the head of the arm bones rest back. They may try to curl forward to help your core. This takes us out of healthy postural alignment. So let this be an awareness building where the head of the arm bones rest back. Consciously, you help them rest back. Fluid breath, inhaling down and exhaling up. One more. And then let's take the left leg out to the left like the page of a book and try to keep the right side body really grounded. And then exhale the left leg back in. And inhale the right leg out and exhale it in. And try to keep the rest of the body still as one leg moves out and exhales in, and the other side moves out and exhales in. Fluid breath, inhaling one leg wide and in, and the other. Concentrating on shoulder blades, broad and heavy, head of the arm bones resting back, and lowest rib ring anchoring back without flattening the back. And then let's come together and hug the knees in and circle them wide and back together again. Fluid breath. And take your circles the other way. And then reach your hands and feet towards the sky. And imagine you have a TheraBand wrapped around your wrists and wrapped around your ankles, and stretch the hands overhead and the feet towards the foot of the mat, reaching them away from each other, keeping that low rib ring grounding back We're going to circle the arms, bend the knees, and hug the knees in towards the chest. The heels stay together. We inhale, reach the arms away from the feet. Exhale, circle and hug. We inhale, reach. Exhale, circle and hug. 2 more. Inhale and exhale. And last one. Inhale and exhale. And then let the arms rest back. Bring your legs into tabletop. And you can come back to the single leg toe dips or toe dip both feet towards the floor, staying aware of that low back rib ring and exhaling the legs back to tabletop. We inhale and lower. Feel the strength of your abdominal core working for you, stabilizing the torso as the legs move in the pelvis. We keep the front ribs and the hip pointers aware of each other to stay strong so that we don't come into a back bend and begin using the low back. Let's exhale back to the top. You can stay with those or lengthen the legs, flex the feet, and lower the heels towards the floor, pointing the feet and drawing them back up. Moving slow and fluid, we inhale down and then we exhale up. Shoulders are still broad, the head of the arm bones resting back. We inhale and lower and exhale and lift. Can you stay with that fluid ujjayi breath? One more. And then bending the knees. Let's float one foot back to constructive rest and then the other. And relax the legs and pelvis. See if we can relax the spine and take a few fluid, deep breaths down into the belly, into the waistline, into the low back. Can you relax and open on the exhales? And then let's bring the right ankle over the left femur bone and let the right knee open. Shoulders and arms still resting back heavy. Let's lift the left foot off the floor, drawing the right shin in towards the chest. And then inhale and release the foot back to the floor. So this is still abdominal core work. It's just bringing in a hip stretch. We inhale out. And we exhale to activate the lift and come in. We inhale and release the foot towards the floor and exhale in. This time, let's reach through the keyhole and either around the femur bone or around the shin. If when you reach around the femur bone, your chin juts skyward, then use a yoga strap around the femur bone. And when you come into this keyhole position, let's rock right to left a little bit until we find the optimal stretch in our own unique body and pause there and breathe deep into the hip. So if this isn't comfortable for you at all, if it's too much of a lift or too much work in the upper body, you could put a block or two under the left foot and have that be the stretch right there. So if you have tight hips, this might be enough. Because really we want to come into the pose in a way where we can still breathe in to the muscles of the inner hip and we can relax them on the exhales. So if you've come to a point where you're gripped and tight, let the pose loose a little bit so that you can breathe in to the body and you can exhale and feel the fibers open and release a little bit for space, for fluidity. It's like you could invite warm summer sunlight right into the hip to help melt any tension there. And then let's exhale and release the left foot to the floor, the right foot to the floor, and we'll switch sides. Arms lay out to the sides. We exhale, left shin in towards the chest. And then right foot slowly back to the floor on the inhale. Can you stay with your long, lingering summer breath, letting it be slow and easy, body moving with the breath. And this next time, as you draw the left shin in towards your torso, reach the hands through the keyhole, either around the femur or around the shin, and gently rock right to left until you find the optimal pose for you. Now, for some people, using the left arm to press against the cross of the left knee, like against the left knee, to keep the knee open, that may help you. And you can draw the right femur bone in with the right palm. Fluid breath. Come into your awareness of the inner landscape. Can you relax on the exhales? Can you stretch open on the inhales? I picture it like a seed growing in its seed pod, ready to burst on the inhale. And then as you exhale, it's like the warm, moist earth is softening the shell. And then we inhale and expand again. And we exhale and soften. One more deep inhale. And full fluid lingering exhale. And then let's release the right foot to the floor and the left foot. And let's press a pillow out if we have one under the head, and inhale, lifting the pelvis to bridge. Exhale, lower the pelvis towards the floor, excuse me, till it almost touches, and then inhale it and lift, and exhale and lower, and inhale, float the pelvis up, and exhale, let it lower. Your feet are the people on the ground. Your pelvis is the kite flying up skyward. Can you breathe space into the torso? Blue sky. And then at the very top again, let's pause, reaching the tailbone long towards the backs of the knees. Breathe deep and broad into the torso. And on the exhale, see if you can feel the diaphragm mushroom up under the rib cage. And on the inhale, feel for the diaphragm descending into the abdomen. And can you visualize these waves of breath sending motion through the body? The fascial layer has a thin layer of water inside of it. Can you picture that water being moved through the body in a vibration of the breath? And on your next exhale, can you soften the heart and roll down one vertebrae at a time, rolling through the low back and coming into your natural lumbar curve. Another few fluid breaths. Can your chest and waist broaden side to side on your inhales? Can you relax on the long, slow exhale? And let's reach for the yoga strap. And let's bring it up over the left big toe ball mound and pinky toe ball mound, and hold the strap in the left hand. Now let your leg out as far as you need to lengthen the leg, and bring the right arm out to your side in a T, and ground right shoulder, right low ribs, right sacrum, right foot, and take the left foot out to the left. Can you keep the right knee centered so you don't counterbalance by taking the right knee out, but you use core strength in the left and the right side of the body as the left leg lowers. You're not arching your back and falling towards the left leg, but the right side remains strong and grounded. Take one more inhale here. And then awakening the inner thigh and the outer hips, bring the left leg back to center. Now let's lengthen the right leg. And try one more time, really grounding the right side body, even the heel. Take the left leg over, grounding the inner heel of the right leg, the pelvis, the low right ribs, the right shoulder. We take the left leg open. We inhale and expand in the torso. And we exhale, and using the inner thighs and outer hips, draw the left leg back to center. One more time. Taking the left leg out. Stay strong and aware in the right side body, grounding. Wake that right side body up for the movement of the left. And then stabilizing, right ribs grounding back. We exhale the left leg back up, and let's switch sides. Strap over the big toe ball mound and pinky toe ball mound. Let's open the left arm out in a T and really concentrate on grounding, shoulder blade, ribs, pelvis, foot, and then take the right leg out to the right. Feel how the stability of the left side allows for the movement of the right. Can you stay conscious of the left knee and keep it centered? Keep using the low left ribs. You may not open as far as you do sometimes if you allow the ribs to flare off the ground. And then we exhale back to center. And then let's lengthen the left leg and ground the heel, the inner thigh, the hip. And then exhale. Take the right leg out to the right. Feel how active the left side body is to stabilize for the free movement of the right. And then using inner thighs and outer hips to draw the leg back to center. And then again, one more time, let's open. Really conscious of the left side body as the right side opens. Can you even feel here into your pelvic floor? Sit bone to sit bone, pubic bone to tailbone. Can you inhale into the 3 dimensions of your torso, and then exhale and draw back to center and release. Pausing in constructive rest and feeling the echo of the pose through the body. Okay, let's exhale and let's come back around onto hands and knees. For this direction. Looking down at your hands, can you even the spaces between your fingers and activate each finger pad, each metacarpal knuckle, and inhale into your cow. And then exhale, tailbone releasing first towards the floor. Can you roll up into your cat, feeling the abdominal core activate? And then inhale again, keeping aware of that abdominal core. Can you draw into your cow? Hands isometrically draw towards knees, neck lengthens out of the shoulders. And then we exhale and tailbone first. We reach for the earth and roll into our cat, feeling the lower abdominal muscles. And then one more inhaled cow, hands isometrically drawing towards knees. And then one more exhaled cat, tailbone first. Then we roll into the cat pose. And let's pause here for a few breaths, inviting the space into the low back ribs, into the low back waistline, into the upper back ribs, breathing space between the ribs and the vertebrae. And then keeping the hands where they are, can we lower the sit bones towards the heels a little bit and really deepen the breath into the low back. Can you feel for the low back diaphragm descending? And then exhale back into your tabletop and take the left leg back, pressing it down into the floor for a moment. Feel into the pelvis and then float the left leg off. You can float the right arm off and pause in this balance pose. We've awakened the core. Can you use it here to balance? And then we exhale, elbow towards knee, and we inhale, open. Can you flow with your breath, exhaling and inhaling? Can you listen for a smooth ujjayi, ah on the inhale and ha on the exhale through your nostrils? One more inhale. Pause as you stretch out there, lifting the base of the skull, the low back ribs, lengthening from tailbone to top of head. And then let's exhale down and let's inhale a cow and exhale. Tailbone first, we roll up into the cat. Deep inhale into the low back ribs and exhale back into tabletop. Taking the right foot back, we press it down first to balance the pelvis, and we lift the right foot and left arm. Can you lengthen the neck out of the shoulders? And then exhale, elbow towards knee, and inhale, stretch up. And exhale, come in. Still awake in the grounding hand, each finger pad, the metacarpal knuckles, elbow not hyperextending. We inhale, open and stretch, breathing deep into the 3 dimensions of the torso. And then exhale down. One more time, let's inhale, cow. And exhale, cat, and pause. And inhale into the cat. And let's widen the knees, big toes together. Roll back into child's pose. And breathe the back body long. Let's wake up the side bodies by walking towards the left, stretching the right side body from right sit bone through right wrist, reaching long. Deep and fluid ujjayi breaths, opening the myofascia of the right side body. Can you relax on the exhales? Stretch open on the inhales. And let's come back to center and walk the hands the other way. Really reaching. Sit bone away from wrist, wrist away from sit bone. Can you open space inside your inner landscape? Invite the long summer day sky to permeate the body. And then let's come back to center. And with those long side bodies, stretch the hands forward, at least shoulder distance wide, and roll up into a bent knee downward dog. Fluid breath. No, this is a beautiful place to practice your breath work. We inhale deep into the whole circumference of the lowest rib ring. Knees bend in towards the torso so that we can really concentrate on lengthening the spine and keeping that natural curve in the lumbar. Broaden your sit bones away from each other. And then when you take the femur bones back, think about creating space in the pelvis. It's not about getting your heels to the floor. It's about taking the femur bones back. Good. Fluid and deep inhales. And then let's walk feet towards hands, hands towards feet. Bend the knees and pause in standing child's pose. And then lengthening the spine. Let's lift up and out, pausing in Tadasana. Shoulder blades on the back body. Head and hyoid bone resting back. Can you breathe yourself broad? And if it's comfortable for you, imagine that you can breathe through the pores of your skin and soften. And allow more sky. Okay, let's really concentrate on grounding the 4 corners of the right foot And let's step the left foot into kind of a tree position with the heel against the shin, shin against the heel, and draw in from the right side body. Inhaling the arms up like branches. Can you integrate the arms into the torso and continue to breathe into the whole circumference of your lowest ribs? So I want us all to start here with tree pose. And your foot is like a kickstand. You can lift the toes up off the floor. And if you need them, then you can put them back down, but they're right there. But here, instead of focusing on coming into the full rendition of the pose, we focus on integrating shoulders, head of the arm bones into the shoulder sockets. The base of the skull, can we rest it back? And can we breathe sky into the torso? 3-dimensional breaths into the whole circle of the lowest ribs. And then in this position, can the arms move as the torso is breathed open? Can you imagine sky moving the limbs, the branches of your tree? Fluid breath. Heel hugs into inner calf, shin. We reach up from this inner line through the pelvic floor and up the spine. And then let's come to stillness again and release the foot and the arms and pause for a moment in mountain. Notice if your breath changes during the balance work. If your nervous system changes during the balance work. And if so, that's fine. We're curious kids watching the body. Let's stand strong now on the right side and bring the left heel in and draw in towards the midline and up like a tree drawing energy up. And then let's open our branches, allow the arm bones to settle into the torso. And as we're ready, lift the toes. Can you rest back in the pose? Can you rest your side bodies in towards one another? And can you find ease in this tree pose? And perhaps the branches sway in the summer breeze. Can you invite the breath in through the pores of your skin to open the entire torso? Can you relax on the exhale? And then we release the toes and the arms and pause again in mountain. How restful can mountain pose become? Can you imagine that you're laying back against the floor in Shavasana? Can the heads of the arm bones rest back and the shoulders be broad? Fluid breath. Which overactive muscles in the body can you relax standing here? Okay, so we've done Ardha Chandrasana on the floor. We've lengthened our side bodies and awakened ourselves. So I'm going to invite you to come into Ardha Chandrasana and give you a couple of options. One would be to use a chair seat and bring your hand to the seat, leg out, and lift the other leg, lifting the hip and opening the arm. So triangle pose and Parsvakonasana should have helped us kind of find this length. You can also use a block, and feel free if you have one in your space to use a wall. So placing the hip against the wall, finding that long side body from hip crease to armpit, and then coming up and using the wall to really find an openness and ease in the pose to breathe into it. So I'm going to invite you to do whichever rendition of the pose feels good in your body. And as you come in, feel into that grounding foot, the four corners stabilizing you, drawing energy up like a tree trunk into the pelvis. And then find length out of that lengthening leg and think of the stability work we did on the floor. Find the upper side body, shoulder to pelvis through heel, and deepen the breath. Fluid breath. Those of you I can see, this looks beautiful. Breathe into the whole circumference of the rib cage, grounding the hand and foot, and see, can I turn my heart slightly skyward? Think of the upper shoulder and hip helping you balance as you ground down into the standing arm and leg. One more deep inhale here. And then exhale and cartwheel yourself back up and out of the pose. Nice slow movement, Alice. That was beautiful. And let's take a few deep breaths. Mountain pose. So can we come back into awareness of how the poses impact the body? Pausing here in your mountain. Deep ujjayi breaths. Resting the head back, the eyes, the hyoid bone. Let's set up for the other side. So whatever works for you, chair or block. Think about these long side bodies. Activate from pelvic floor, gently lifting up through the column of the spine. Setting up, yep, your foot. Remember to keep the knee open over the second metatarsal. So you don't want the foot and knee turning in. You want to ground them forward like they are in Trikonasana and Virabhadrasana 2. We also want to draw energy up the standing calf through the knee and down the shin. And that lifted leg, can you lengthen out of the four corners of the foot and really keep the leg alive? Then find the top shoulder blade on the back, grounding down through the lower arm. Can you stretch across the shoulder bodies and out the shoulder blades and out through the arm? Beautiful awakened pose, Tressie. Fluid, deep breath. And then think, can my rib cage gently rotate skyward to open the heart? Can I keep my myofascia in the back body awake, shoulder blade to opposite hip pocket? Fluid breath. And then on the exhale, can you come out mindfully, aware of the inner landscape of the body? Beautiful, Kathy. And then pause with the breath. Mountain pose. Noticing what happens to the breath as we do this work. Okay, and then either using a chair or the wall, or just coming into the pose on your own. You can bring palms to a chair seat and lift. We're coming into Virabhadrasana 3, or you can turn the chair around, walk back, arms lengthened, and lift a leg into Virabhadrasana 3. If you want to just look at the screen for a moment, I'll show you, since I'm a different teacher, where we're going. I'm going to have you take maybe one arm off the chair into kind of a wing, and then perhaps you'll be able to lift the other hand. So yeah, that's how we're going to come into the practice of it. Okay. So go ahead, whichever version of this Virabhadrasana 3 you want. You can be on the chair back, on a wall, or yeah, fluid breath. Coming into the pose, find length in the torso. Find that activation from the center of the pelvic floor up the length of the spine. Toes, lifted toes point towards the floor. We lift with the inner thigh and balance the pelvis. Beautiful. You may take one arm off the chair. Fluid breath. Feel into that balance. And then you may try the other arm. Perhaps you can even lift the hand that's over the chair or block off. All right, you can practice back and forth. Beautiful. And then let's inhale and unhinge, lower your leg and unhinge from the pose. And pause in mountain pose. Fluid breath. And then let's inhale and reach arms for the sky. And exhale, fold forward. Really find that length in the torso we've been after all class. Find that breath into the low back ribs. We don't want to collapse there. Grounding the four corners of the other foot, lift, toes pointing towards the floor. Find your balance. Feel into the three arches of your standing foot, and then begin to play with one arm or the other or both off of your support. Keep conscious of the leg behind you. Keep conscious of how that space in the side bodies from hip pointers to ribs can support you. How a full three-dimensional breath can help support you. And then as you're ready, bring your hands back to your support, lower the leg and unhinge from the pose. Nice work. Pause in your mountain pose, head resting back and shoulders. Imagine that you're lying in Shavasana. And once again, let's inhale and reach the arms skyward. And just notice if the body is different from the beginning of class. Let's reach one arm towards the apple in the tree, stretching open, and then reach the other side. And just feel into the movement of the myofascia in your body now. Is there more water, more space in the body than there was at the beginning of practice? One more reach on each side. And then let's let the arms slowly descend on the next exhale. And pause again in mountain. Let's inhale, reach the arms for the sky, and exhale, open the arms into a goalpost position and step the feet outer hip distance wide. Knees soft, pelvis forward. Come into awareness of your left shoulder blade and your right buttock. And on your next exhale, slowly begin to twist and draw your right shoulder or your left shoulder blade slowly around towards your right buttock. And let yourself twist open, head being last to turn. We look out the far left corners of the eyes. Can you feel a line of awareness from the left shoulder blade to the right buttock down into the four corners of the right foot? Can you breathe three-dimensionally and feel what opens with the breath? And then let's exhale back around and release the arms and roll the shoulders. And then reach the arms skyward again and open into the goalpost position. This time, feel into your right shoulder blade and left hip pocket. And take the right shoulder blade slowly around, pelvis stays forward, let it be a spinal twist. Only go as far as your body feels comfortable. Let the head turn last and gaze out the right corners of the eyes. Full fluid breaths into the lower ring of ribs. Hyoid bone resting back, shoulders resting back. Where can you find ease in this pose? And then exhale and unwind and roll the shoulders. Okay, let's come back down to the floor again and either bring in a blanket roll or a bolster if you have one, and let's come into restorative back bend as we come towards the close of class. So we've done a lot of lengthening and breathing into the spine. If you'd like to have blocks and also open into Baddha Konasana, you could bring in blocks and have them to support your knees. We'll bring our shoulders onto the blanket roller bolster, and they begin with the low tips of the shoulder blades downhill on the blanket or bolster. The hands come around to cup the head, thumbs at the base of the skull. And then we traction the head and neck as we come up and gently over the blanket roll. And we bring the head down. Now you might need a pillow, like I have another blanket here to support the head. Now the low tips of the shoulder blades are uphill on the blanket. And you can either bring the arms over and have a support for the wrists, arms long, or perhaps your arms come to the floor. Or you can open again in the goalpost position we just did, or open your arms into a T, whichever feels best in your body. If the head of your arm bone is protruding up uncomfortably into the rotator cuff, put blankets or some kind of support under your arms. And then if you'd like to open the knees out, you can use your blocks under your knees for Baddha Konasana, or you can let the legs lengthen down the mat or stay in constructive rest, whichever is best in your body. Each of us is a unique body. Listen into your own inner landscape and know that the body has a wisdom of its own. We can learn to tune into it. Once you get into a comfortable position where you can relax into the support of the props, and you breathe deep into the heart center. And on the exhales, if it's comfortable for you, can you relax into the hug of gravity? Can we breathe openness into the heart? And can we relax ourselves open? Fluid Ujjayi breath, even here, listening for a smooth, long inhale and a slow exhale. Visualizing a fun, long summer day with family or friends and laughter. Can the body relax like it does then? And then let's gently draw the feet back in. Cup the head with the hands to give it support as you roll yourself over, up out of the pose. And then I'm going to give you some choices for Shavasana. If you'd like to do an inversion, we were on our feet a lot of the practice, then feel free to put your calves up on a chair or to come to a wall if you'd like legs up the wall, and sit beside the wall and roll your legs up, pressing into the heels. Draw a blanket or a bolster underneath the sacrum. Remember that if your hamstrings are tight and you do come up the wall, you can move your pelvis away from the wall and just keep a micro bend in the knees. And rest your arms. Bring in a blanket, eye pillows, whatever you like for your Shavasana. So either legs up the wall or legs onto the seat of a chair, or really any shavasana you prefer. So if you'd like a bolster under your knees and just to lay back, that's perfectly fine. Choose what's best for your body today, and then rest into the pose. I've been focusing on balance in my classes this month. And for me, balance is about finding a balanced sense inside the body. So in this practice, I wanted us to feel grounded and spacious, stable and fluid, awake and relaxed. So if you're still with your ujjayi breath, see if you can let the sound soften. And see if the breath can lengthen out even more as you slow it down. If thoughts come, can they pass? Can you watch them come and watch them go? As if you were sitting beside a river watching leaves float downstream on a long summer day. Can you become more focused on the water than the leaves? And on the sky reflected in the water? Now let's come back to awareness of the breath. And allow the ocean wave sound to become a little louder. A little more vigorous. And as these waves deepen in our bodies, let's stretch in whatever way we're called to stretch and move. And then let's slowly roll ourselves over and come back up to a comfortable seat together. Unless you want to stay in Shavasana, which you're welcome to do. Let's sit for a moment with the breath. This is where we started today. And let's again notice how the breath feels in the body. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we all enjoy our breath and be awake for these long summer days. Namaste.